Why is it that so many of us guys over 60 are constantly spinning our wheels, trying to figure out what actually builds muscle? Is it high reps or is it low reps? Well, let's dive right into this explainer because this is a topic that hits really close to home for me, and honestly, almost every single dude I know. If you're flat out tired of the guesswork and you just want the straight facts on what actually works for our bodies right now, you are in the exact right place.
Why are we wasting years in the gym, just completely spinning our wheels? Seriously, I remember walking into the weight room a couple of years back. I just hit that big 6-0 milestone, and man, I felt this genuine, sinking fear. I was terrified my muscle was just going to slowly melt away. Terrified I was getting weaker by the day, and honestly scared that my absolute best days were totally in the rearview mirror. I was so desperate for a real answer. I tried every single routine under the sun, just hoping and praying to finally crack the code. Well, guess what? I actually found it. But I'm going to keep that ultimate step-by-step blueprint under wraps until the very end of this explainer. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share my own crazy journey, cut through all the fluff to show you the actual science, and give you the exact tools to rebuild your body the smart way.
So let's get right into our first major theme. Section 1, the muscle building trap. Man, this perfectly captures that sheer, overwhelming confusion guys our age face when we're just trying to figure out how to train. It's literally like walking into a maze completely blindfolded.
I mean, picture this. On one side of the gym, you've got the huge guys swearing up and down, hey, you need heavy weight for muscle. Then you look over to the other side and someone else is preaching, nah man, lighter weight and higher reps are the key. I cannot even begin to tell you how insanely frustrated I was by all this conflicting bro science. I'd listen to one guy, run his routine for 3 months, completely wreck my shoulders and knees, and then I'd just pivot and try the other guy's routine. But here's the brutal reality. Picking the wrong approach doesn't just ruin your Tuesday afternoon. It absolutely tanks your progress for months, maybe even years. And let's be real, at our age, time is the one thing we absolutely cannot afford to waste.
So let's break this whole thing down the right way. No gym myths, no random opinions, just what actually builds muscle based strictly on the source material. That brings us to Section 2, heavy weights, strength, or size. All right, when you look at the low rep approach, you're obviously throwing around much heavier weight. That means you're generating a ton of high force, which makes it absolutely stellar for building raw strength. We're talking about your big, heavy compound lifts here, right? Your squats, your deadlifts, the classic bench press. Low reps are just awesome for those movements. And hey, getting stronger is fantastic because it lets you lift heavier weight down the road, which indirectly supports your muscle growth. But, and listen up because this is a massive but for us older guys, there is a major clinical limitation here when we're talking about hypertrophy or actual muscle size. You see, low reps almost always mean less total time under tension and a lot less overall volume. And as we're going to see in just a minute, those two things are absolutely crucial factors for physically building up the muscle itself.
Which naturally swings the pendulum right over to the totally opposite extreme. Section 3, light weights, the fatigue trap. Look, I vividly remember the days when I just completely gave up on the heavy stuff to save my aching knees. I dropped the weight way down and just started chasing that legendary pump.
The really critical thing to grasp here is what's actually happening in your body when you go high rep. High reps naturally mean you're using a lighter weight, which immediately gives you way more time under tension and a ton of metabolic stress. You get that intense, crazy burn. You get a massive pump. And to be fair, it's totally fantastic for your isolation exercises. Think about bicep curls or lateral raises for your shoulders. It's so much safer for those smaller, delicate joints. But here is the massive, glaring trap I kept falling headfirst into. As your reps get really high, up into the 20s, your fatigue builds up insanely fast. Suddenly, you're gasping for air, and your cardiovascular system becomes the limiting factor, not your actual muscles. You end up totally gassed out, sweating bullets, and you drop the weight before the target muscle even comes close to actual failure.
Let's just put these two side by side for a second to really see it. On the left, we've got low reps, heavier weight, high force, but lower overall volume. On the right, high reps, lighter weight, tons of metabolic stress, but incredibly high systemic fatigue. Guys, I literally spent years of my life just bouncing like a ping pong ball between these two extremes. I'd grind out heavy singles and doubles, end up with super achy joints, and honestly, I saw zero real changes in the mirror. Then I'd flip the script, bang out sets of 20, get totally exhausted like I just ran a marathon, and still, no real aesthetic changes. I was missing the entire point, simply because I was asking the completely wrong question.
And that brings us to the ultimate turning point in my entire journey. Section 4, the real driver of growth beyond rep ranges. This is where things get really good.
Boom, right here. This is the absolute secret sauce I've finally stumbled upon. Mechanical tension.
Before we spend another second arguing about reps, we have to understand something fundamental. Muscle growth absolutely does not come from hitting some magic number of reps. It comes entirely from mechanical tension. In plain everyday English, your muscles just need to produce force under a load. That is the actual biological driver of growth. Not the reps, not the fancy machine you're using, tension. That's the name of the game.
We all have to face a pretty harsh reality when we look ourselves in the mirror. Both high reps and low reps can build muscle perfectly fine. Seriously, it doesn't matter if it's 5 reps or 15 reps. If a set is too easy, it simply won't stimulate an ounce of growth. Effort is the ultimate, non-negotiable common denominator here. We absolutely cannot be in the gym leaving gains on the table by doing lazy, easy sets and expecting our bodies to magically adapt. The muscle has to be challenged, period.
So how do we actually take this hardcore science, this absolute requirement for mechanical tension and high effort, and apply it safely and efficiently as we're getting older? Let's move right into Section 5, this sweet spot, finding the balance.
6 to 12 reps. I know, it sounds almost too simple, right? A little anticlimactic. But I'm telling you, both the hardcore research and actual real-world results overwhelmingly show that 6 to 12 reps is the absolute most practical, effective zone. This right here is where the magic happens, and it's exactly where the vast majority of your training should live.
Why does this specific range work so beautifully for guys over 60 like us? First off, it provides a totally fantastic balance of load and volume. It's heavy enough to create that crucial mechanical tension we just talked about, but it's light enough that you're racking up enough time under tension to trigger hypertrophy. Second, it offers completely manageable fatigue. It's not so crazy heavy that it wrecks your joints for a week, and it's not so light that your lungs give out before your biceps do. And finally, it is incredibly easy to track your progression over time. If you knock out 8 reps this week, you push for 9 next week. It is just the perfect, practical middle ground. Okay, let's dive into the main event. This is the climax right here. This is exactly what I promised you at the very beginning of my story. Now that we absolutely know mechanical tension is the driver, effort is the key, and that 6 to 12 range is our home base, how do we actually build a complete routine out of it? Here is Section 6, the complete transformation blueprint, an intelligent routine. Instead of stubbornly choosing just one single rep range, you can use them all intelligently together for complete overall muscle development. Check this out. Step 1, you kick off your workout with your big compound lifts right in that slightly heavier 4 to 8 rep range. This builds up your base strength on things like squats or the bench press. Step 2, you move right into your isolation exercises, think arms and shoulders, using the 10 to 15 rep range. This is way safer for those smaller joints and specifically targets that hypertrophy. Step 3, you can throw in some optional finishers in the 15 to 20 rep range if you really want that final burning pump. This exact structure gives you the raw strength, it gives you the muscle size, and most importantly, it protects your body. Finding this out literally changed everything for me. But hey, I do have to deliver one final, really hard truth before we wrap this up. The absolute crucial point you need to take away is this. The biggest mistake you can possibly make in the gym isn't picking the wrong rep range. It's training too far from failure and failing to progress your lifts. Listen to me very closely on this. If you finish a set, put the weight down, and you realistically know you could have cranked out 5 to 10 more reps, man, that set did not even count. Muscle growth only happens when the muscle is forced to adapt, not when it's sitting there comfortable. At the end of the day, rep ranges don't mean a single thing if your weights and your reps just stay exactly the same week after week. You have to focus on progressive overload, increasing those reps, bumping up that weight, and constantly improving your form. Which leaves us with this final, really important question to ask ourselves the very next time we step onto the gym floor. Are you actually challenging your muscles, or are you just keeping them comfortable? It's time to stop overthinking the whole high rep versus low rep debate. They both work. What truly matters is training hard, progressing over time, and staying fiercely consistent. Combine these concepts intelligently using the exact blueprint we just covered, and you are going to see the results you've been looking for sure, even well past 60. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep pushing, stay incredibly focused, and I will catch you next time.